Marcus Beck and this is Simon Macro, and we are from Fresh West Design. We're based out in West Wales in Tenby.
We are essentially a furniture design studio, and there's three aspects to our business. First of all, we design furniture which we license to manufacturers for distribution, and we also undertake larger projects such as interior design of restaurants and bars and shops, and we also do more experimental work,
Sort of gallery-based work, isn't it?
Yeah, gallery-based pieces, so limited edition works which we produce here in our studio and are exhibited in galleries in the UK and abroad.
We both studied fine art at college and didn't study design at all. I was at Manchester University and Simon was at Brighton University. Came back here and started making furniture with an idea of getting into design, and Simon was in working with Thomas Heatherwick in London. Then he moved back here to Tenby, and we started just sort of showing each other what we wanted to do and asking each other what we thought about different projects, and at some point we decided that it'd be far better if we joined together and set up Fresh West, and that was in 2006.
And then we decided sort of to launch the business by doing a show at London Design Festival in September of 2006, and we exhibited three products there: our Contemplates, our Inside Out bathroom cabinet, and our Duke dining table. And from that was really the start to the business. We did really well. We got a lot of press from it, and also won an Elle Decoration Design Award for our Inside Out bathroom cabinet.
I suppose since doing the first exhibition and getting press interest, it suddenly opens up a few other doors, and as soon as you sort of show people that you've been in magazines and won awards, you start opening up other possibilities.
In 2008, I think
yeah,
it was, during London Design Festival, we exhibited three pieces of work, which was this lamp, the Brave New World lamp, a coffee table called Pool Table, and our collapsing chair. During that show, the director, or the CEO of Moy, a Dutch furniture manufacturer and distributor, spotted our work, and
he spotted the collapsing chair first, because it grabbed everyone's attention, and then then after that he sort of saw our lamp, and amazingly they decided we had made it as a sort of limited edition piece. We never expected to make more than a couple of them because it's so complicated. But they flew us over to Amsterdam for a meeting, then decided that they want to put it into production. We sent the prototype to China, and now they produce it and just distribute it. But being with them, it was just such a massive leap for us. Suddenly we were our names were sort of being associated with some of the big designers in the world, and it was the next big step for us, I suppose.
So we have got another product that we're sort of doing with them at the moment, which is called the Flat Pack Table, and hopefully there'll be more stuff in the future. Our design process, I guess, always starts with one of us will have a spark of an idea, and it's very much about start with conversation and interacting with each other and backwards and forwards, just discussing little drawings.
And sometimes Simon might say something and I'll kind of misinterpret what he said, or a rough sketch in his sketchbook, and I'll say, oh, you mean that, and suddenly that's the better idea, and then Simon will, so it's like this build up, so definitely this
backwards and forwards
dialogue between us. It'd be a difficult thing to do on your own, I think.
Yeah. The key to any sort of successful bit of design is often the relationship between you and the manufacturer, and that the dialogue that you sort of build up with them, so that they sort of don't just go, can't do that, and you sort of build a relationship up so that they really understand where you're coming from and you understand what they can do. And what's really quite important is that we try as much as possible to look close to home and within Wales, so that we can physically go there and sort of
it's always easier,
see what their capabilities are, and that really helps. The story of the lazy chair sort of started just with us in the studio at this desk, sort of playing around with these little models, and one thing that we really liked about these little models was that they had a real sort of character to them. They sort of had their sort of quite human-like sort of
Just
characteristics.
The four legs seemed to suddenly give something a life, didn't
and
it?
we'd never actually designed a chair before, and a chair's sort of like the iconic thing that a designer's meant to design. And we were sort of thinking, right, how can we really give a chair sort of life? So we thought, well, it'd be really interesting if maybe that let's turn it on its head completely and make the chair pretty much unusable. And so we came up with the idea of this collapsing chair.
Yeah,
so
that was based on the little sort of toy animals that you see. We then it was a crazy kind of learning curve. We were sort of remembering all the stuff that we'd done in sort of GCSE physics lessons, and we started building this thing, and every day we're sort of learning more about how physically to get this chair to assemble itself. But then we soon realised, as far as getting a reliable sort of piece of work, that we were going to need a lot of help from an engineer. So we
contacted a mechanical engineer and collaborated with him, and he basically sort of designed the sort of internal mechanism so that it was reliable, using our sort of experimentation here in the studio. He sort of converted that to a sort of reliable mechanism.
The first system we had a car jack, and the whole thing set up in the studio, and we'd be jacking this thing up with a car jack, which was still quite one of the most amazing parts of doing the whole thing. But it was great to work with the engineer, because he suddenly opened up these options, because we said sensors, and we didn't really know anything about sensors, and he was sort of saying, well, a microwave sensor is the best thing to use, and what else is in there? There's, I don't know,
a remote control that triggers it so it'll suddenly collapse, so you can sort of time the collapsing of it perfectly. But again, it's that important thing about finding someone to work with that sort of understands what you want, and when you find the right engineer or manufacturer, it's brilliant. And he basically understood the sort of the subtle sort of artistic sort of qualities that we were trying to achieve in the chair.
Brave New World lamp, you can see behind us, we sort of approached this more like a sculpture. We didn't sort of try and draw out anything to start with. We wanted to take these small pieces of wood and place them together, and
to build a stronger structure out of small bits of wood.
Yeah, so
inspired by sort of the old sort of Far Eastern scaffolding that you get.
Yeah, all notched together with these. The wood is notched together with little pegs holding them together, and you'd sort of set one piece up and then realise it's a bit wobbly that way, so you'd then have to put another piece in to strengthen here. Then the weights was then the next sort of issue, where we had to counterbalance the weight of the light. So there's some quite sort of technical physics there, which again we got some help with someone who sort of knew a little bit more and suggested different measurements and different weights.
But it was going back to our GCSE physics, which is
remembering what a fulcrum was and things like that. It's quite funny. So more recently we were asked to sort of decorate a chair for a gallery in London for Design Week, and we thought, keeping in line with our lazy chair, we'd try and somehow animate this chair. So we decided that the best thing to do would be have sensors and motors on underneath the chair,
hidden underneath.
So we were asked by Satnet to if we wanted to do this Arduino workshop, where we went along and we tried, we programmed an Arduino and then had it rigged up next to a drill with a sort of counterbalance.
Because the idea for the seat was that when you walked up to it, it suddenly started vibrating and rattling around the floor.
Like a kind of excited puppy or something, isn't it? So, and it was really successful in the end, and was at last year's London Design Week.
Current projects are we are designing a sort of sculptural footbridge for a park in Torquay, and it's been ongoing for a little while, but it's just hopefully about the building of it is about to start sort of in a month or two. And that's been quite an exciting and interesting project, again collaborating with engineers, structural engineers, and we're also going to be working with a South Wales company called SMF, and they'll be building part of the sort of steel structure that holds the bridge. So that'll be our first very big sort of large scale
architectural
project.
Piece.
Yeah. So it's quite exciting for us to be sort of one day working on a a chair, and the next day working on a footbridge. One of the companies we're working with at the moment is a laser cutting company, and we've used sort of laser cutting in a few ways before. I mean, typically our map table, which is called You Are Here table, which is a table that has a map of your location. You send us your postcode, and then we get a sort of street map laser cut into the underside, and it has a small arrow pointing to the location of your house. That's why it's called You Are Here.
Yeah, we've done some good different cities from around the world. We did one of Manhattan, which looked great with the tiny little arrow.
We've got an exhibition that we're curating for a Welsh gallery in Carmarthen called Oriel Muthrin, and it's about Dutch design. And we've contacted sort of various Dutch designers, some of the sort of most famous Dutch designers, and we're going to be going on a sort of road trip where we travel round Holland.
Sort of came from there not being a huge budget for the exhibition, so there was always going to be a problem of getting all the work over there. So we sort of suggested we'd go around in a van and pick up all the work and photograph each studio and bring it all back, so people here locally can sort of see what the latest design is, because Holland really is the best place at the moment.
And it's also great for us because that's sort of networking again, meeting other designers sort of outside of Wales and the UK. So that's going to be great. Also, we've got a sort of secret project that we can't talk about, but we're designing a couple of products for a major luxury brand, which will hopefully be launched in June or July this year.